Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, boys. In this one, we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about Season of the Haunted and why I actually think this season is actually a lot better than some of the past seasons that we've had. In my opinion, this season has been almost as good as the Opulent season, and I think there's a few reasons why. So, I wanted to come in and share a little bit of my thoughts with you guys and just explain why I think these things. So, first things first with the seasonal activity, it is not that bad. Now, it can get tedious after a while when you're farming red borders, but if you actually upgrade the nightmare containment thing, then it doesn't actually take as long as it needs to be. Now, I did this week one, so obviously it took me a very long time to get all my red borders done. It took me about a week or so to get everything done, week and a half, 2 weeks. So it was a decent amount of time that I played this event and did all that. But it actually wasn't that bad. Obviously, it got tedious when you open the chest and it doesn't have a red border. It gets annoying. But other than that, it really was kind of fun for a while doing it with your friends. And when you had loops and other ways, you could get easy red borders pretty much all the time. I remember like day like 1 or 2, maybe even 3, I had about 3 of the palindromes or the Ostringers already. So that's really good. And obviously there's also Sever to keep in mind as well. Sever was the weekly quest that we had. There's 2 per person that needed exercised or whatever. So 2 for Crow, 2 for Zavala, and 2 for Keitel, and then obviously the final fight with Callus, which is kind of mid, but we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to get into that later. Anyway, these missions were all super unique. They took in places inside of the Leviathan that we haven't been into in a while, like the Gauntlet, for instance, and parts of the Underbelly. That was really cool in my opinion. I think the atmosphere was great, and the storyline was also very, very good in that section. I like the storytelling between all the characters. Crow, who was afraid of becoming his normal self or his old self. Zavala, who was afraid to or felt responsible for the death of his son and his daughter, which is nice. And then obviously Keitel, who was in the shadow of Gaul and that kind of thing, which I think it was really cool to see all these dynamics between the characters and their nightmares. I think that was awesome to see. So Sever did a great job of that. And also with the final fight, say what you will about it, it was mid. Let's be honest with ourselves, it was mid. It took like no effort to do. You just had to fight all the nightmares over again and then shoot Callus. Like, it really wasn't a big thing. I don't even think you had to shoot Callus now that I think about it. But that's besides the point. It was mid. It was also like 2 seconds long, which is really unfortunate. But other than that, I think the story and the seasonal activities were great. I love, especially the story. The story was phenomenal. I think that Destiny does, or Bungie, I guess I should say, does a great job at storytelling in this game. Say what you will about the bi-weekly quests and stuff, but I think it was really good. Moving on from the story and kind of the quest line, we're going to move into the loot. There's 2 pieces of loot, well 3 pieces of loot, I guess if we want to include the duality dungeon, which we are. The loot was great. The haunted weapons are really cool in my opinion. I think aesthetically are very nice to look at and they feel very, very good. The shotgun without remorse is very fun in my opinion. The glaive is the first arc glaive I believe we've ever had, which is amazing. And I think that they rolled very, very well, and they have very good rolls. Now, obviously, I don't really care about the Hollow Denial trace rifle and stuff, but the shotgun is great in PvP. It's very, very solid. I love using it. It's going to be even better when Arc 3.0 comes around, because I'm going to have that elemental capacitor on there with also the same build as before. It's going to be disgusting. So I really, really am excited for that. And on top of that, we also had the Opulence weapons, and the Opulence weapons, obviously all 5 are extremely powerful and extremely good in PvE and PvP alike. The Callus Mini Tool is my favorite PvE SMG in the game currently, and looking at the Sniper Beloved, you looking at the Austringer Hand Cannon, and the Drang Baroque, I would say those are some of the best sniper, hand cannon, and sidearms that you can use currently, because of them having enhanced perks for 1, and for 2, they roll really, really well in general. Like on the Austringer, having something like Eye of the Storm and Rangefinder is extremely powerful. And then when you add things like making them in depth or enhanced, that makes them even better. So I'm really happy to say that those guns did not come out half-baked. And then the final piece of loot that we got, right, was the Duality Dungeon. And talking a little bit about the Duality Dungeon for now, I think the Duality Dungeon is one of the best dungeons currently in Destiny 2. In terms of loot, and in terms of mechanics, and overall just more fun. Just something more fun. I think we got a somewhat unique kind of... We got a somewhat unique kind of mechanic with going inside the Nightmare Realm. I think that is super cool. All of the encounters are awesome and fun. Galron is one of my favorite bosses. It's easy to one-phase him. He's just a fun fight overall. And I would say that even Keitel and the Vault Room are also very fun as well. Now, the Vault Room is definitely the weakest encounter in my opinion, but it doesn't make it necessarily bad. So, I would say what makes it the weakest is the boss fight is not very fun. It's the three of the same thing. But I think that overall the dungeon is pretty good. Keitel is a fun boss, really good there. I like having to use the bells against her. I think that's super cool. Going into the Nightmare Realm and keeping her in the Nightmare Realm so you can do damage. I think that's really interesting. And I'm glad that we got something like that. And again, with the loot is phenomenal. Look, the SMG is what it is. It's fine. And I haven't really tested the GL. But, like, when you look at things like Storm Chaser, which is, like, the best linear fusion in the game, you can't really tell me that it's bad loot. And the sword is also, the exotic you get from the dungeon, is also really cool. The Heart Shadow, I believe it's called, is amazing. It is so much fun to use. And I think that if you don't have it, you should definitely get it. And the Catalyst just makes it that much better. So definitely recommend getting that. So, that's really it in terms of the dungeon, though, for me. I really like that dungeon, and the loot is a lot of fun and good as well. The armor is kind of weak, and I still don't think, in terms of dungeons, I don't think it's better than Grasp of Avarice in terms of fun. But it still is really fun in its own right as well. So, the loot was great. Now, that's really all I wanted to say about the actual season, besides... Oh, wait, no, it's not. Back to the loot. The seasonal armor was amazing. We haven't seen better seasonal armor ever, I don't think. That helmet for all three classes is amazing, especially on Warlocks and Hunters, though. I really like how those look. I think they look very well, very good, and I think they fit the vibe of my character very well. Now, again with the armor, actually, let's not jump the gun for a second. Sorry. Exotic armors for all three classes are awesome in their own right. I think the Titan gauntlets are really cool, throwing multiple shields. You can kind of feel that power fantasy of being like Captain America. That is sick as fuck. I think that's awesome. The Rain of Fire boots are insanely good in PvP, and they're really just a lot of fun, especially when paired with Vex Mytho class. You can do something absolutely disgusting with them. Fly around, get Radiant easily, and absolutely decimate the oppositions on the enemy team. That's amazing. I like that. And obviously the Hunters, I think it was Caliban's Hand that came out, does feel the power fantasy for and they're very good in PvE and PvP as well. So those exotics are very good. And the Trials armor and weapons were really cool in my opinion as well. The Trials armor for all three classes, especially the Warlock and the Titan, look amazing. The Hunter one's pretty goofy in my opinion, with it being the Baboon, but I still think it's cool in its own right. And then the weapons from it are awesome as well. The sidearm is cool. I like the sidearm. The Burden of Guilt seems like it's one of the best fusion rifles in the game, which is good to know because I do want a good roll of that at some point, the Adept one, if possible. And then finally, on top of that, we're going to talk about the two Adept weapons, the Horror's Lease and the DFA. Now, they are, in their own right, some people would say the DFA is not as good as Austringer, and I think that's a fair thing to say, because it might not be. That being said, I think that depending on your input, it could be very well be the opposite, where DFA is better than Austringer, but only time will tell for that. Well, not really time will tell. That's only if you test it by yourself. And then the Horror's Lease, in my opinion, is the best pulse rifle we've ever seen. As a rapid fire and as a pulse rifle in general, it's an absolute beamer. If you can get perpetual motion and kill clip, you are unstoppable. Like, I'm telling you, you can two burst with that gun. If you even like Charge of Light plus the kill clip, or even Radiant plus kill clip, that's a 2-tap, and you can easily do it. It's amazing. That makes that thing absolutely disgusting, and I think that that loot was great. But that's really it when it comes to the positives, I feel like. And I think there's a lot of positives and not really that much negatives. But when it comes to the negatives, the only real negatives that I have with this season overall, for one, is that it's very recycled. Very recycled. The quest, or the seasonal activity, is pretty much Escalation Protocol. It's very, very similar, if not the same. But that it is what it is. And again, we still have Sever, which is very unique in my opinion. I really like Sever over the Nightmare Containment. But yeah, Nightmare Containment is literally just Escalation Protocol, and the weapons from it are recycled as well, than being the Opulence weapons. But other than that, there's not really that much other that's recycled besides that, and I guess again the DFA and the Horror's Least. But other than that, that's really it when it comes to the negatives. Like, a few things are recycled, and I understand that. Like, they're gonna recycle it, but you also have to keep in mind, a lot of people have been saying for a long time that they wanted these guns back. They wanted the Menagerie back. They wanted the Opulent weapons back, and then they get it back, and then people can complain, you know? But it is what it is. I'm really happy with the season overall. But again, that's really it when it comes to my general thoughts and opinions on the season of The Haunted. I really enjoyed the season. I think it was great for content creation, and I think it was great for just playing overall in general. And Solar 3.0 is amazing as well. I didn't talk about that, but Solar 3.0 feels amazing, and I can't wait to play Arc 3.0 tomorrow, which is going to be amazing. We're probably going to stream the launch of the season that day, so if you guys want to stop by, you definitely can over on twitch.tv/It'sAaronWL. But again, those are it for my thoughts. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.